How's it, folks? This is your briefing for assignment 1, ENTP 7312. You've got to listen to this quite carefully. This is similar to what you were doing in the previous semester in Entrepreneurship 3A, but it's different. So basically, let's have a look at the background. Assignment 1, 25% of the overall mark. It covers learning unit 1 to 3. It's due on the 11th of April. Check your PAS. I don't take responsibility for that date. You've got to make sure that the PAS hasn't changed or been updated. You only have 2,000 to 2,500 words. In my opinion, that is very, very tight. And you need to use at least 10 sources. At this NQF level, I'm inclined to say you might need more than those. Most of you know my opinion around referencing and so on. I might talk to it again later. Please make sure that if you're going to use AI, you understand exactly how to reference AI. If you're sitting there and you're saying to yourself, I don't know how to reference AI, I've never done that before. Am I allowed to use AI? Yes, you're allowed to use AI. I will indicate places where I suggest you use AI, but you must reference AI. For that, go onto ARC, look for the referencing guide, or go speak to or contact the information center, the librarians on the online campus. They would be more than happy to assist you and explain to you exactly how to reference AI. If you have used AI and we detect it, which we will because we have now got detectors, and you have not referenced it, that goes to, I think, a level 2 or level 3 transgression immediately, which means 0, disciplinary, all of those type of nonsense. For where you are in your studies, you don't want to get caught up in that nonsense. So please, guys, I suggest you use AI for this exercise, and therefore I do suggest that you must make sure that you reference it. Okay, so what do you have to do? We need to prepare a blue sky entrepreneurial venture that solves one of the 17 sustainable development goals. We'll talk about what Blue Sky is. Blue Sky is new things and so on. But let's just have a look at the Millennium Goals. There they are. I've put them down for you. So you might want to pause there and read through these. I'm not going to go through all of them. And those are the first 8 or so. There's the rest of them. Pause, read through them, have a look at them. We'll come back to this at a later point. You simply have these here, so it's easy to quickly look through them. A key point, you may not use any ideas from your ENTP 7311 assignments. No idea, you cannot copy, you cannot duplicate, you cannot remotely do the same, you cannot suggest an app, right? Guys, we've had lots of tears around this in the past, where students have simply tried to sneak in their 7311 ideas, and because the assignment specifically says you may not use this, it's an immediate naught, right? Don't do that to me. I really hate that happening, and you're going to hate it even more than I hate it. So please, guys, go look at those Millennium Goals. Pause now, go back the 2 slides, have a look through them, and see what you can find that you can do there. So what is it that you need to do? You need to prepare an investor proposal for what we call a blue sky investment or entrepreneurial venture. So blue sky is big thinking, new thinking, exploring ideas with no limits, right? Now, the official definition is entrepreneurial venture that is implausible and overly optimistic, which is out of touch with entrepreneurs' reality, right? However, the brackets are inserted there. It's not too implausible and not too overly optimistic, nor which is totally out of touch with the entrepreneur's reality. So get something, big audacious idea, go for it, but be pragmatic about what you do, right? So we want to see those big ideas, but don't go totally over the top, because when you go totally over the top, it becomes much more difficult to write this up. So there's your references, which I spoke about earlier and said I'd come back to. Date and author, correctly in-text reference. There's new nuances that have come in. They've changed our specific model that we're using in terms of the referencing. So we still use the Harvard, but we use a specific version of Harvard. 2 things I can tell you quickly that have changed. In-text referencing, we now use and not the ampersand. That funny thing that looks like an 8, We don't use that anymore in text. We now use the word and. That's one thing that has changed. I will be reasonably lenient, but I will make notes about it. And from the second assignment, I'll start saying to you, hey, listen here, have a look at this. The other thing that has come in, we used to have, the first time you have 3 or more authors, you will put all the authors, and after that, you'll put the first author et al. The rule has now changed. You'll use 3 authors. You'll always put all of their names. More than 3 authors, from the first usage, you can use et al. Okay? Those are 2 of the big changes. There are others. You'll have to look at the referencing guide regarding that. Turn it in. So we'll see if you've copied from somebody or you've taken from where else. And remember, that's a similarity indicator. It doesn't say you have copied. It says the work you hand in is similar to other work that's been handed in. Some cases, it might simply just be your reference list or so. You will know if you've copied and pasted and whether you have properly paraphrased what you've used and put everything in your own words and correctly referenced it, etc. AI I've spoken about, and I reiterate, if you use AI, you must reference it, and you must reference it correctly. There's a whole set of rules around this. Please go check those rules. One of the rules are that I need to be able to access the discussion you had in AI. So you need to make the discussion available so that I can click on it and go see what you asked AI, how you asked AI, and so on. Whatever you do, if you use AI, never ask AI a question out of the assignment. Never type an assignment question into AI. Ask questions around what they're saying, but never, ever type in the actual question. But make sure you understand how to reference AI, please. So, what do you need to do? Layout. A cover page, an introduction, a body that answers the 3 questions, a conclusion, 10 references, and appendices. If you really need to, I don't think you need to. But if you really need to, you can put on an appendices. But that's the layout. Please don't have headings that say introduction, body, conclusion. Introduction and conclusion, fine. In the body, write headings that make sense. Don't just write body. I'm looking for the bag. I'm looking for the mortuary, if you put body down there. So what do we put in the body? Question 1, they want a name, logo, and slogan of your company. Very simple. Once you've got the idea, go into ChatGPT, ask ChatGPT to generate 5 or 6 names for the company. Choose one of those names, then ask ChatGPT or one of the other tools. They give you tools in the assignment to come up with a logo, but ask for 3 or 4 logos. And then the same with the slogan, ask for 3 or 4 slogans. I find normally when I do this type of thing, none of them work. The logo, because I can't easily adapt it, it's easier just to choose one. The name and the slogan, none of them work perfectly, but taking 1 or 2, combining it, and this is where your brain power comes in as comparison to just using ChatGPT, and that's where it becomes legal. Chat is assisting you in your thinking. You now need to use your brain to make final decisions. Question 1.2, what is the problem? Start with the Millennium Development Goal. Explain the goal, explain why is it a goal, what is the problem in the world, and describe it in your context, right? So where you are, and the context is sort of created by the company that you are deciding to use. And then how will your solution, whatever your solution is, how will it address the problem? It's as simple as that. Obviously, I'm giving you the overview of what you need to do. You still need to go read the assignment, guys. You still need to go see exactly what's the details. But that's roughly what is required from you, right? So if you look at question 2, it becomes a lot more complicated. So what is your customer value proposition? That's section 5.3. What type of customer value proposition are you putting through? There's 3 types. Use the gold standard. And what type of segments? There's different types of markets, etc. That's laid out in 5.4 in your textbook. How is the idea generated? Alertness, prior knowledge, and pattern recognition. Those are all things from the textbook. And then they want a paper test. C7.2. Also, with all of these things, those are chapter 5 in the textbook. That's chapter 7, those sections. Go have a look at those sections. And guys, now people are saying, but he's given us all the answers. No, I haven't given you the answers. Remember how this works. You start in the textbook. You give us the basic theory from the textbooks. I've told you where to go find it. I've made your life slightly easier. The value and the marks don't lie in what the textbook says. The value and the marks comes on you applying it to what your case is, to your solution. So in other words, you're probably going to get 10, 15, 20, 25%, if I'm generous, of the mark will go to the theory. The rest of those marks will go to how you take the customer value proposition. Once you've explained it, how do you lay it out for your product, for your solution, for the thing that you're suggesting to solve one of those Millennium Development Goals? So you need to make sure that you're not writing a theoretical answer. Guys, and don't Google customer value proposition and write what Google says. We mark from our curriculum. Our curriculum is driven by a textbook. Start by what your textbook says it is. Right? Not by what Google says, not by what ChatGPT says, what your textbook says. Start there. Go read your textbook. Yes, you must make the effort. Read your textbook. Then question 3 is simple. It's the ID8 model. Identify, discover, enhance, anticipate, target, and evaluate. That's very simply. And then in your conclusion, you're taking everything in question 1, 2, and 3, you're banging it together, and you're saying, why is your idea a good idea? It's a simple assignment, but it's going to take you some time to do. You've got a week and a half or so. That's enough to do it in, but you've got to work on it. Don't wait until the last moment and say, the evening before the time, I'm quickly going to write it. It's going to take a bit more time than that, especially to come up with a good, solid idea. Please throw away last year's assignment. Do not consider last year's assignment, right? Start from scratch, clean slate, blue sky, start from scratch. Guys, as always, I'm available for questions. Drop me a question. Anytime, please just make sure that you say that this is a entrepreneurship 3B question. Put that in the subject line. Then I know. I teach 1, 2, 3, 4 classes of entrepreneurship. So I need to know which class you're in and what you're dealing with before I can easily answer your questions. Okay, guys, thank you very much. All the best and good luck for this. As I say, I don't think it's extremely difficult, but it is a bit time consuming. Cheers. See you next time.